St. Paul's endgame, he always had this focus on the cross. That was his theology, basically. Not more to it than that, but that's kind of a good summary. After his conversion experience of persecuting and killing Christians, in the end, his conversion experience, he understood finally God's divine mercy, that he could be forgiven for what he did, and he was called by name to go out into the world and preach the good news. So he always was focused, very focused, intensely focused. He might be one of those people that you might have a hard time living with. He was so intensely focused. But anyway, like some priests I know, but not at Christ the King. So anyway, he was so focused on the cross, but he knew why. Because God loved him so much and was able to move him from point A to point B. And whatever happened each and every day of his life, as he says in the readings, he was able to put up with his treatments and whatever would happen, good or bad. You know, in the opening prayer of the Mass, we're called to have hopeful joy. And Paul had that, a hopeful joy of recognizing that in the midst of life's ups and downs, there are many good opportunities for us to enjoy life. And we're also called to have a quiet joy. We always don't have to be talking. Sometimes we have to, I guess. But we don't always have to be talking. We can just lead by example. Lead by example. I don't know. It's said that St. Francis of Assisi. Now some dispute this, but I've always liked it. I think it's probably good. But who knows? We weren't there. He said that, just use words if you have to when you're living the gospel. If you have to use words, use words. And it's especially true for our young people. We have to use words to teach. We have to lead by example. But we don't always have to be talking. We can lead by example. So it's important for us to realize that God's gift of mercy is always very prevalent to the power of the cross, the end game for St. Paul. In the gospel today, the beginning of the 6th chapter, Jesus was with his disciples, and he was in his home area where people knew him very well. And at the end of the gospel, it says he was amazed at their lack of faith. That's why he couldn't perform many miracles there, the gospel writer says, because of their lack of faith. I think we kind of live in a post-Christian era, and I think that when I see all this going on in the world, none of which I can solve, but we can pray a lot. There was an associate pastor of mine one time says, I think what we need to do is just to sit and pray all day for all the stuff that's going on. But anyway, not a bad idea. But Jesus realized that their lack of faith, he could see into people's hearts. It wasn't that he didn't want people to have fun, but he wanted people to realize why they're having fun. Because Jesus is with them. While they're having struggles, they call upon Jesus' power of healing. So, as I look at the world, and it's a great world, we have to have joy, and there's so many great opportunities, but there's so much suffering. There's both ends. Sometimes I wonder if there's much in the middle. I know there is, but it's hard to find sometimes. I bring that up because I think that a lot of our people who are in power, it seems like there's a lack of faith. And I'm not calling them out. I'm not saying I'm better than they are. They're just as good as I am because they were made in the image of God. But sometimes I think people's decision-making isn't so good. I can look at that in my own life too. So, we really have to be the example for those around us, to lead by example if no one else is going to, or if it's a post-Christian era, which I believe it is, or if there is a lack of faith, which I think there is, and certainly people don't want to accept the truth of Jesus Christ, especially about life. So therefore, that's a lost cause in some people's minds, but not ours, because our end game is the cross.